At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart, you're doing it.
Observations TFR, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.
What's going on, people? Welcome to Truth Thursdays, hashtag Observations TFR. It's episode 86. Can you believe it? Episode 86, right? It is January 28th, 2021. Only a few days left in January 2021. January 2021 will never return again. There will be many Januaries, but none like 2021 as we get underway, right? Clipping. But again, welcome to hashtag Observations TFR. And before we go any further, before we get into the topic, what's up to Kenneth Dorsey? I see that he's watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming in. We want to say what's up to everyone that is watching us on Vimeo, on FB, on You Found the Spot page, and on the Film Review Live channel on YouTube. Before we go any further, let me introduce you to my special guest host, my sister Tonya M. Congress. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing okay this morning on this partly sunny day in Cleveland, Ohio. I had a decent amount of sleep last night. See, I had to get creative with my sleeping because I'm up and down all night. So I figure if I start out going to bed earlier, then I will have the cumulative total of the hours of sleep that I need from getting up and down. So that's what I'm experimenting with now. But I feel okay this morning. I have my red delicious apple here this morning. I also have some sliced ginger. And today I have some lasso tea. And I have hibiscus flower tea mixed in with that with some honey. And I didn't put my phone on mute. And then I also have some Gatorade. Some Gatorade Zero. Because I know I'm dehydrated. I have to be, even though I drink water, but I'm sporadic from day to day on how I drink water. Like I don't just drink 8-ounce glasses of water every day. Some days I do that, and some days I don't do it at all. So I had to get some Gatorade, and I found the one. Dee told me about the one with no sugar, so I got the one with no sugar, and so I can be hydrated. So I got 2 bottles of this to have around, and I'll drink it, in 8-ounce increments. But anyway, I'm ready to get the show on the road today. This is going to be, I love Truth Thursdays. You know me, the truth. So I'm ready to get it on today. How you doing?
I'm doing as well as can be expected under the circumstances. We are under a pandemic, but still those in America and globally, we soldier on. So what's the topic for the day? Truth Thursdays. Race equity? What is race equity? How is it applied to American blacks compared to other race groups in America? We're going to take that racial away and just say race groups, right? In America. Crazy D and his special guest host, Tonya M. Congress, delve in while discussing the phraseology of Susan Rice, the person in charge of quote-unquote race equity. The phone lines are open. 213-943-3358. 3358. If you want to chime in and talk on your touchdown tone, press 1 and we will know that you want to speak and we will bring you on air. But you know, like what we do, we always start with the memes, right? We're going to start with memes to warm it up. But we got so much to talk about today. Yes, go ahead.
Before you start, I want to just to let people know, when you're hearing the clipping and it sounds like the transformer, we need you guys to stay in there with it. There's a reason why that's happening. They want to discourage you from listening. They want to discourage us from broadcasting. So they think between the two of them, with that irritating clipping and transformer sound, that they can get that to happen. We need you to remain steadfast with us. And speaking of steadfast, we got a new shirt. Do you want to tell them about the shirt?
We do have a new shirt. That was the first meme I was gonna put up before we started. But here it is, people. Steadfasting. That's right. Steadfasting. Right? You stay steadfast to your goals, humble enough to kneel and pray, while preparing your body for the future journey. And as the t-shirt says, I am, therefore I am. Take your smartphones. Grab your smartphone with your QR code scanner and scan this QR code where it says scan me. Scan the QR code and check out the fundraiser that we have, where you will get this beautiful royal purple t-shirt, Steadfasting. It is a beautiful design. It is the move for the future. So most definitely take your QR code. If you can't get to your phone fast enough, then just rewind on the replay and scan the code, and you will be able to order your shirt. We appreciate all orders. All orders go to us expanding our programming. That's right. All proceeds go to us expanding and bringing you more quality programming, what we do already. All right, people. So here we go. Let's begin. This is the first meme. And this is very important. Speaking of race equity, this is where race equity actually hits the ground running. All right. You see this guy. He was at the Capitol January 6th. Can you believe that was now 4 weeks ago? Boy, time passes. Black Capitol rioter Emmanuel Jackson is still in jail while his white cohorts are out at home and no longer arrested, no longer detained. Now, what have we been saying? Now, we told this way back in Anarchists versus Accelerationists. We said, we don't know why any American black would be on the side of the accelerationists, right? We said that because the accelerationists are white supremacists. Let's just face it, that anarchists are white supremacists too, but they are definitely white supremacists. They are about the destruction of the state to create a neo-Nazi state. That's what accelerationists are. This is what was at the Capitol January 6th, along with some anarchists. Now, on the other side are the anarchists, right? And the anarchists want to collapse the state also. So my question is, if both sides want to collapse the state, and all that's standing in the way is the order, which were the police at the Capitol, if that's an example of the order standing in the way, then black people have it bad. Because if the state falls, first of all, where are you going, American black man and American black woman? Where are you going? Both the anarchists want to collapse the state to have anarchy. Anything goes. I want to shoot you in your head. There's no law enforcement to stop me from doing it. I just do whatever I want. The accelerationists want a neo-Nazi state so that they can do bad things to all people that they don't like. That includes you, American black man, American black woman. So that's why I have to see, Tonya, look up Emmanuel Jackson, right? And tell me, is he American black? Is he FBA? Is he ADOS, American descendants of slavery? Is he a descendant of that? Is he American black, or is he an immigrant black who talks that yin yang flam flam about we voted racism out, but you voted racism out and put a white supremacist in? But this right here, in the larger scheme of things, is an example of race equity. Some white boys and white girls got together and they said, let's just jack off a little bit and go and storm the U.S. Capitol, climb and scale the walls like you're Spider-Man, and go in and sit in the wells of Congress in both houses and just ramble through papers and steal shit and break shit because it's the people's house, and kill police officers, maim police officers, try to get a couple of the senators or the representatives and lynch them. Not but hang them high, like right. They were just having having a moment, right? Just enjoying themselves. So how come Emmanuel Jackson, as an American black man, couldn't just have a moment of enjoying himself as well and get the proverbial slap on the wrist? Do you understand? Get the proverbial slap on the wrist like his cohorts who are at home chilling. And we had told you on this show, back when that happened, when we came on January 7th, and then we dedicated a whole week to it the following week, that American black people, the ones that they have, will probably still be in jail while the shaman who, needed health food would be at home chilling or be treated so much better, and the person in jail say, can I get an extra blanket? Say, no, just sit down, nigger. Right? We told you that, and this is a perfect example of how race equity would work to even the score. What's good for whites is good for blacks. The harsh treatment or lack of harsh treatment that Caucasians get for jacking off, same with black people. So tell me, Tonya, before we move forward, is Emmanuel Jackson American black?
I'm having a hard time finding that information, actually. Hard time. I've looked up several different ways, several different search ways.
Does he have a Twitter? Usually when they're not American black, they will have a flag that's not the American flag in front of their name, or underneath their name they'll show their flag. And so the best way to go there, put him in on Twitter, and then you will know what he is, if he's American black or not. But if not, we will move on, because to me, as I look at him, his hairline, kind of gives it away, because when American black people are getting ready to show out, their hairline is clipped, it's there, it's lined up. And so that's what gives it away to me. And it's just in his eyes and his cheekbone, nose, and lips construction that he is not American black, because that hairline moving back a little bit with the hair, no, that's not an American black thing. Do you see his Twitter page? Maybe they removed it, but do you see his Twitter page?
And there's a couple of there's a couple of Emmanuel Jacksons up here. None of them are clearly pointing to him.
All right. Well, this guy doesn't really exist, and it's something to get you upset, people. It's something to get you upset. But remember, if you don't see a well-defined hairline, like the hairline isn't just jumping out at you, like every time I come on, my hairline is like jumping out at you. You say, damn, that is a smooth hairline. That's smooth. That wavy-tavy with that smooth hairline. No, this dude is not American black, ADOS, fundamental black American, right? Let's move on. Now, this one was an interesting meme, and I'm going to see, let me bring these down some so I can make it as large as possible, Tonya, and then we're going to do this experiment, all right? So the top of the meme reads, can you read it? Prove it by following the secret instructions. Can you read this, Tonya? Let me see. Let me pull this. Can you read it?
Yeah. Only smart people with a high IQ can read this text without turning the phone upside down. Are you one of those people? Share to prove it and type yes in the comments.
That's right. You know, as a matter of fact, they have another puzzle or test like that where they scramble the words. Long as the letter at the beginning and the letter at the end are the same in the original word, a person will be able to read that sentence with a certain high IQ, even though the letters are jumbled on the words, right? Long as the letter at the front and the letter at the end stay in their perspective places, then a person with a high level of intelligence. Now, I'm not saying anything, but if you were not able to read it, don't get upset. Don't leave the broadcast. But if you were not able to read it, don't worry about it, right? Don't worry about it. Now, here's an interesting one. This is really for singles, not for those who are happily married or people who are in relationships, but here we go. If you had to marry the last person you had sex with, would you be happy? If you had to marry the last person you had sex with, would you be happy?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, that's a yes for both, right? For both hosts here, right? Which brings us to the last meme before we get hitting into the topic, because we have a lot to cover today. So the memes are minimal today. So smash the share button, smash the like button, because we are going someplace today. If you don't call up at 213-943-3358, then leave your comments in the comment section on FB, on Crayzon Deeyon, or on the Film Review Live channel in the comments alongside the video, and we will read your comments. Now, last meme before we get started. We warmed it up enough. BLM co-founder. I don't believe Biden and Harris are saviors.
Wow.
I don't believe that Biden and Harris are saviors. Would you look this article up, right? It's on pbs.org. We're going to analyze her words here, right? If you would look that up real quick. Let me bring it up bigger so that you can see it. See what the co-founder of BLM, that's Black Lives Matter. You know, that is the Marxist, it is a Marxist group. They have admitted it themselves. She believes that, why does she believe that though? Why does she believe, I don't believe Biden and Harris are saviors? Why don't they believe that? Well, you know, actually there aren't. So that's the obvious, that's low-hanging fruit. But for those who are crying like the next coming of Christ or Muhammad or Buddha, you know, how many Christian, the next coming of whoever your particular religious leader, deity is that you believe in, listen, they weren't and they aren't, and this race equity is going to show us for sure. Now, you have the article.
I have. Let me see. This is bringing up a vid. Okay, wait.
There's a transcript, and they say read the transcript.
I see it.
So we're going to go through this a little bit and talk about what she has to say. So we're going to go through the questions, go through the answers, not so much the questions that the person said, right? So let's go through. Let's skim down a little bit and get to the savior thing, where she talks about the savior thing. It's probably like 2/3 down, and she gets to talking about saviors, right? And first she talks about how BLM was responsible for them having a ticket that had Kamala, let me say her name right, Kamala Harris on the ticket, right? Which then makes me think, no, you really weren't, because this was selected to happen to be a symbolic thing to make people believe that they had done something. But people drink the Kool-Aid, or people go along with it to be seen as bigger than what they are. So do you have that where she talks about the savior situation? Savior complex.
These are some long paragraphs. I'm looking for that word in one of these long paragraphs. Let's see.
Let's just go in. Let's start reading what she has to say about their involvement and everything. Go ahead.
She said, "We played a very specific role in the election cycle. We did not stand down. We actually stood up, and we created a multi-million-dollar Get Out the Vote campaign, where we focused on black cities and black towns across the country, including swing states. We reached over 60 million people in that effort, both by ads, phone banking, texting, and by doing drive-in events across the country. I think our movement and I think our organization, alongside Black-led organizers across the country, won this election. I do not think we would have been able to have a Biden-Harris ticket if it weren't for Black-led organizations and Black organizers. We played a really important role. From the very beginning, we understood that we were going to have to help Black people get out and vote, and we're going to have to push back or push Black votes to make sure that we voted for the Biden-Harris ticket. We did this under the Black Lives Matter Pact. And so we started a pact where we could do political work, and that was very, very important for us.
Okay, let's stop. Let's stop right there real quick. Okay. How much was the campaign worth? How much did they do? A 6 million? Is that what they said? She said 6 million. What exactly did she say?
She said multi-million-dollar campaign, but they got 60 million people in the effort. They reached 60 million.
I mean, where did they get their money from? We broke down Black Lives Matter last year. We showed you where they get their money from, right? When people say George Soros, this is true under one of his foundations, right? So they got out and they believed that they got out this campaign and they got the people out to vote. That's what they believe. Okay. So now remember, it's very important to remember what the woman said. Let me bring this in a little bit so I can lean forward on this topic real quick. Very important. She says that if it wasn't for the black-led organizations, they don't believe there would be a Biden-Harris in the White House right now. That's what she's saying. She doesn't believe that it would be. So my question is, why is Joe Biden practicing benign neglect? 213-943-3358. Benign neglect. He signed so many executive orders. I mean, it's so many, it's hard to keep count. I stopped at 27. And he signed so many executive orders, but none that had to do with reparative justice that would be under the name reparations for American black people. Why is he practicing benign neglect? He gets up in a meeting, they leak the audio, and he's telling the CBC and other civil rights leader, and not, because CBC is not a civil rights organization. It is a colored black people congressional Congress, right? They're supposed to be doing something good, but they haven't been doing anything good since the days of Shirley Chisholm for American black people, because they talk about everything else except when you go to the website, when you go to their Twitter, you see they talk about the Latinos. Like, this is supposed to be the CBC, not the Latinos have their own caucus, right? So he was talking to the CBC and civil rights leaders. You know, Al was there because Al came out later and said that he was very receptive. But if yelling at the civil rights leaders and the CBC about what he couldn't do, he was dazzling them girls like a pimp. He was almost an Amos and Andy. I can't do what I can't do because the Constitution, it has to be Constitution bound. I can't do everything by executive order. But then the first thing he does when he gets in office is start signing executive orders.
Come on.
But by the Constitution, I can't do that. I can't sign executive orders. But the first thing that he's doing when he gets into office, signing executive orders. But he said he can't do anything for the blacks with executive orders. Well, that's benign neglect, people. You voted for him. I didn't. I didn't vote for the other guy, either, because both of them was racist. Which one you gonna do? Satan or Lucifer? You had Satan in, you say. So you go ahead and elect Lucifer, who actually has laws on the books that are still hurting people today. Destroy Generation X. So, but you voted. They got you with the first time voting for restored voting for the people who were restored the right to vote. I don't say ex-felons. I say people who had their voting rights restored, citizens who had their voting rights restored. Okay, so now, after nearly 3 weeks of benign neglect, because he was yelling at the civil rights leaders and the CBC about what he couldn't do, and that they need to fall in line, and that they need to get with the the Latino, because they are a larger population, a larger voting bloc than American blacks. But American blacks, by what she said, is the reason why Harris and Biden are in there. Well, Harris is insignificant. Biden, in my estimation of politics, the vice president is really insignificant, except for being put on dummy missions the president can't go on. But Biden has a strange way of showing it that American blacks were the reason why he was elected, right? And if you believe that, I have some prime swampland that is good to build on. Build hotels. I mean, the sentiment was not brought out the ground, out the sea, out the water like Bugsy Siegel did. No, I've got some real swampland that you can really build a hotel on. Look, okay. So, there is a video. No, wait. Before we get to Susan Rice, smash the share button, smash the like button. I found a video that is a perfect representation of what it's like as an American black, right? I found a perfect video. Are you ready? Look, they're trying to clip us. Stay with us. Smash the share button. Tag at least 5 of your friends in there. Press share, like, subscribe where you're at, where you're watching us. Now listen. I found a video that's a perfect example of how the relationship is with Joe Biden. Matter of fact, the guy that's in this video looks like Joe Biden. Now, what you will notice is you will find us in this video. Now, you see two Caucasian women, right? One blonde hair, blue eyed, the other one dark haired, olive complected skin, kind of like what the Moors like, that crippled their dynasty because they were too busy up there with the witches. Just stay with me now. Stay with me now. You need to do your research on this. I'm moving quickly. Now, what you will see in this video, you will see us as the representative, kind of like Susan Rice is right now, for America, the face of America. Matter of fact, in the Outside the Wire, the movie with Damson Idris trying to stop a renegade robot, the robot tells him, why do they have my face? It's a black man, right? It's Falcon from the Marvel series, right? He says, why did they use my face? Because people around the globe are less threatened by my face than they are of a Caucasian face. That's what it says in the movie. And this is true indeed, because once Barack Obama was elected in 2008, took office in 2009, Libyan President Muammar Gaddafi lowered his defenses and let America come in, and sure enough, as Obama has said, that's one of the things that he regrets. It's too late, though. It's too late. Muammar Gaddafi was assassinated in the worst way. They stuck the pistol up his rectum and pulled the trigger. Let that sit for a minute. But so when Obama got it, they said, oh, America must have changed. And oh my God, they got a black man in there. And so they thought his face was less threatening. What was the guy from Venezuela brought him a note with a book? He thought next thing you know, he died of some kind of radiation poisoning. I mean, do you remember this? I mean, this is modern history. This is just in the 08s, 09s, going into the 17s. I mean, going into the 12s, right? Don't you remember? You don't remember? Okay. Well, let's keep moving. Okay, let's keep moving, right? So in this commercial, it's a perfect representation of what's happening. I'm giving time for you to smash and get your people in and let them know that we're getting ready to show a perfect representation of the relationship between American blacks and Joe Biden. You have the representative that's representing for America, and you see that everyone else, this is a perfect representation, everyone else gets all of the spoils, and then American blacks, well, we just have to fend for ourselves. They don't even give us trickle down. There's no table scraps. There's nothing. So this commercial is a perfect example of the relationship. So let's watch this. Let's watch it. You know this commercial. What's up to Michael A. Hall? I see that he's watching. You see this commercial. You've seen this commercial, right? And this is a perfect example of the relationship between American blacks. Let me take her down real quick so that you will have undivided attention on the commercial. This is a perfect example of the relationship between American blacks, Joe Biden, and every other racial group, while American blacks are the diplomat, are the representative of the United States. Watch closely.
Hello, beautiful. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Hi, Anthony. How much did my discount double check save me?
About $150.
Done.
I don't have State Farm, but insurance, find me money.
I got you $1. Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that. Oh, you almost had it. Oh, you almost had it. Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that.
You got to be quicker than that, people. That is the perfect. That commercial is the perfect representation of soon as everybody else, they come in and they get the set-asides that American blacks were supposed to be said, that Martin Luther King got his throat shot out for. They come in, they say, hey, do I have this? Yes, you can have this. Perfect, right? They say perfect. Then the black people say, well, then where is ours? And then there's Joe Biden talking about, I got $1 for you. And like a perv. Let's go back a little bit. Oh, like a perv.
Oh, you almost had it. Oh, you almost had it. Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that.
You gotta be quicker than that, American black people. You have to be quicker than that. Which brings us to what we're going to break down and discuss today. Now, if you say, no, D, Tracy Latrice said, almost had it. Oh, they're clipping us. They're clipping us heavy. Smash the share button, smash the like button. Now look, if you think and believe to yourself that that is not a true representation of what's happening, we're going to go through what Susan Rice on the 26th, she came in the morning press briefing, and she brought the plan, and she laid out the plan of race equity, right? She laid out the plan of race equity, right? She lays the plan out, right? Now, notice in the opening, very opening, it's about maybe 2.5 minutes in, when she lays out what makeup of person she is. And then we're going to stop right there. And this sets the whole tone to what we've been talking about in nauseum since last year when we were trying to prevent this boondoggle from happening in the first place. But now it's here, and people who are voting, oh wow, they're really clipping. They act as if they're complaining now, but we had told you what was going to happen. So your vote actually helps American black people's demise. And if you say, well, I didn't help the demise of America, if America demises and the state falls, where are you going, American black man, American black woman? Where are you going? Where are you going? All those people who talk about go back to Africa. Before we get started, I'm going to let you talk. All those people talking about go back to Africa, 213-943-3358. Tell me what land you are going to go to that is not all snatched up. We showed that yesterday on Stock Wednesday, right? We showed you that. What you got to say?
Do you know where you're going to? Do you like the things that life is showing you? Where are you going to? Do you know? Do you get what you're hoping for? When you look behind you, there's no open door. What are you hoping for? Do you know?
Dun, 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 dun. That mixes with I've been watching you, the way you move your sexy body, move your body close to mine. Parliament Funkadelic. Come on, baby, everybody sing it. You might like you too if you knew the way you moved your sexy body. That might be all we got left. Y'all might be ready. You might have to prop your daughters up. They might have to get on the strip. Anyway, let's get to this presentation here and let's get to breaking down. They have not given me perfect streaming all show because they know that when we come to this part, when we come to these shows, we're kicking undeniable facts. Right? Truth can be relative. Facts are facts. So let's go. So let's listen to what Susan Rice, who has now been in head of advancing racial equity. I thought it was race equity, right? Tonya, as we pause this, I need to know what the definition of race equity is. So we're going to go through and play this first part and come back and get that definition. And hopefully they will give me perfect streaming sometime today instead of clicking me in and out. I mean, like, this is just really horrid, but it's fine. Here we go, people.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, let's see.
Be back. Jen.
Wow.
Wait a minute. This is weird. This is truly weird here. They are not giving me full capacity, which means it's holding me up on playing video. This is weird. This This is weird. Let me see something.
Hello.
Okay, that's playing, and so this is of some length here, so wow, let's see.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be back. Jen?
Oh, wow.
Has committed the whole of our government to advance.
Okay, all right. They are messing with the system to the point where I don't have perfect streaming right now. This is weird. This is weird. I cannot play this full video. This is, oh my goodness. Wow. Wow, they found something new to do. This is weird. This is weird. Let me see. No, that is fine. They're not giving me full capacity, so we're gonna. Okay, look at that. Look at that. They're not giving me full capacity on that. They found a way to halt it for a second. I don't know what they've done, but they found a way to make the signal not be able to push the video. This is weird. What do you have to say? Let me figure this out further.
You know, it's really we're in a very sad state of affairs. Not like we didn't know it already, but I always push so that you open your eyes to see that they do not want you to know certain things. Now, depending on how you process the information we give you, you may see it a couple of different ways. You might think, well, they're blocking you because, you're saying certain things, or they're blocking you because your information is not accurate. But unless you see, our thing is we're coming to you every day to teach you how to go research. That's all we do. We research and then we post. We research and then we broadcast, and we bring this information for you. And they are like never before. All 3 days this week. This is actually the fourth day this week that they have been clipping us like a transformer. So that should let you know we're coming. They're not messing with. Let me tell you something about the devil. The devil never messes with anybody that's not messing with him. All right. So this is proof that the things that we are bringing forward are things that they don't want you to know. Everything from stocks, they don't want you to know about how to get your bag up. They don't want you to know about how to get your health together. They don't want you to know about the things that they're doing right before your eyes and up under your nose. They don't want you to know anything about it. And it's so blatantly obvious at this point, you should feel some type of way. You should feel some type of way, not to get all discombobulated and go flying off the handle, but to be wiser, be smarter, research more, so that you got to come off of it. Come on, man. This life is not about barbecues and bar mitzvahs. It's not about, watching the news and then having cocktails on the weekend. It's not about that. It's not about you going to your 9 to 5 every day and then coming off and doing your 1 2 1 2 like before this starting last year when COVID hit, and even slightly before that. It will never be the same. So those of you who are waiting for things to return back to what you consider normal, and this is the new normal. The new normal is you're going to have to get up off your behind and study. The new normal is that you're going to have to do some work to survive. That's the new normal.
Do some, well, they're really clipping me on my side. This is really something. Let me do some flipping around and see if that might help the situation here. Let me see. Now, they know that we know on Truth Thursdays we usually break down on people, so this is interesting, but not to be deterred or discouraged. Let's see what we can do here.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be back. Jen, thanks. The whole of our racial equity for all Americans. I'm leading this up.
All right. Adapt and overcome. So she goes on to say that she's Jamaican and descendants of people who were in slavery, right? So automatically she opens up automatically and says that she is Jamaican first. You have to go watch this because this is very important, because you're not going to stop what's there because it's already too well produced and organized. We don't need the video. The video is just an extra, is icing on the cake, but we can break down exactly what she said. But it's show and proof because some people don't want to believe, but there's no stopping it. So she goes on, she opens up in the first minute and a half, 2 minutes and a half, and then she says that she's Jamaican and descendants. Now look, Martin Luther King was Martin Luther King. He was descendants of slavery. He wasn't Jamaican. The Jamaicans, being a Jamaican did not was the reason for them to have people in slavery. No. It was people who, and the Jamaicans are not the reason why American blacks are here with rights today. Not the truth. And so throw that out the window automatically. So automatically her opening up, instead of saying that she's a descendant of slaves and mixed with some Jamaicans that came in, thus she could say that she was both sides of the coin as far as the immigrant situation and the American black. She puts Jamaican, the immigrant, first. What have we been telling you about the immigrant situation? We've been telling you that this is what's going on. Now you can go on to and catch this after the show. You can watch this on YouTube. But we'll break this down pretty good. Because they can keep clipping and they can do whatever the fuck they want, but we're going to break it down anyway. Okay? And if they shut it down, then it'll just start back up and we'll finish. We're used to it by now. So anyway, she goes on to say that. Then she goes on to say that this is about helping. She doesn't say it in this terminology, but I'm saying it in my own words. It's here to help American blacks and immigrants. But by the time she finishes, about 5 minutes in, she goes on to say immigrants and American blacks. So by the time they flip it, see, it starts out, whenever they do this legislation, it starts out about the people who have always been oppressed in this time, people who are descendants of slavery, right? Then it switches and it talks about minorities. By the time it switches, it's about minorities and by the way, American blacks. Then it shifts off of that altogether and they start talking about every other immigrant group, which that's what the race equity is about. It's about every other group that is coming into this nation. It's not about American blacks at all. But they use the plight of American blacks at the beginning to set the pace because they know that American blacks have done so much to make this society equitable, right? So as long as us as American blacks keep falling for this, they will be able to get away with this. I can tell you as sure as I live and breathe, a segregationist like Joe Biden does not care about American blacks. He's in there to try to finish the job, and he puts a woman, he doesn't find an American black woman, straight American black woman that will tell you where to get off. He finds one that will say, I am Jamaican and with people in my family descendants of slaves. Right? So this lets you know what the ball game is, right? Did you hear, I heard this on Tariq Nasheed in passing. I was passing by and I was just happened to be listening as I was doing my edits, and he says that Busta Rhymes came out talking about black people in America don't have culture because he's Jamaican. Everything that you got in this country comes from an art form called hip hop, made in America, sold initially and supported initially by American blacks. And if you don't have your American black base behind you, you don't have a base, because once the whites find out you don't have that base behind you, they will drop you too.
Right.
So here he is talking about, Jamaica. Well, why don't you go over to Jamaica where the Chinese are coming over and taking over? They done smogged out their country, and they're coming over to the different dark-skinned countries and taking over. Why don't you go over there and talk about the culture over there and stop them from taking over Jamaica? Since American blacks don't have no culture. So you can see where this is going, this race equity is going, right? You can see where this is going by who they have in head of it and what she said she is. Now, this isn't a strike at the Jamaicans. Everybody liked the reggae music in the 90s. We talked about Shaba a couple of weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? Buju Banton. We Bounty Killer. Beanie Man. We talked about Maxi Priest. Yeah, we talked about all those people. Yellow Man. We listened to the music. But it didn't get a foothold here until it was mixed with hip hop music, and the hip hop artists let them in. And this goes back to everything that all hip hop artists have in common is that American black people gravitated to your music and loved your music. We're talking about the originator. We're talking about in New York City, the Bronx. Right? Then it spread out to all the boroughs. Then the tape started spreading across the world, spread it out to the West Coast and in between places, right? And then that vinyl single started coming out. Then the full length album started to come out on vinyl, cassettes, etc. And American black people supported that music. Now, I used to think that the reason why the East Coast was so East Coast centric about helping others or calling other places country. Wow, they really don't want this out. I thought that it was because they were the originators of it, but when mix in that are people who maybe they are first generation or second generation immigrants because their parents came to America. They ran from where they were and came to America for a better opportunity. And they picked up on what American blacks was doing, and then they go out on tour and act like what Busta Rhymes said. Busta Rhymes let something out that was very crucial. He said that American blacks don't have culture. Is that why when Houdini was on the tour bus, certain people were looking out the window at people in different cities talking about, look at them country, because they were looking down on them because they thought that American blacks, the majority of the blacks coming from that went out to California during World War II came from Mississippi, so they came from the slaves. Are they looking down? I mean, this is very crucial right now, and we can see what is happening with this race equity. They are blocking us right now from playing this video, but guess what? They can't stop the voice. So is that why they were that way? But every place else outside of the tri-state area rock the same. They like the music. Then they develop their own form. And then the West Coast taught the East Coast how to make money. And the South has been holding it ever since Andre 3000 said the South got something to say. Because they got tired of the whole country. That anything outside the tri-state area was country when most of their people came, first, second generation came from places that would be shantytown country. Go back there and fix shantytown. We were watching the documentary on Salt and Pepper after the Salt and Pepper documentary, right? After the Salt and Pepper movie. And Pep said that she gives her money to Jamaican causes because she's Jamaican. And I'm thinking to myself, there's nothing wrong with that, but what about the American black causes? Those are the majority of people who bought your music. Outside of the people that's globally, American blacks are the ones that sold your music, but you take your money. Everything that you made here, you didn't see Jamaica, did you? Or wherever you didn't see Jamaica, did you? Your people were here. You may travel back there like people travel back down south, during the summertime, but everything where you made your riches is right here in America, but you take your money out when you're actually an American. Because the opportunities, you wouldn't have made it in Jamaica. So that's what I'm saying. We told those stories, and people contribute to it unbeknownst to them. Like I told you the story about the DJ that was fumbling the record, and it starts on the third. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. 1 and 2 was cut off. It starts on 3, drops on the 1 on 4, right? And I said the DJ was bumbling. Now, when a person tells you, do I have to send my boy up there? If I was DJing, now I wouldn't have been fumbling. But Pop is show me that you better than me. So the first thing I would have said was, but there were a lot of people who just DJ, to me, my opinion, for the bread and not for the culture. What I was a dude did, I did it for the bread, but I knew the culture. And if he had called me, I said, send your boy, I'm going to send your boy back. He would have said, oh, and he would have said, oh, he cool. We've got stories with the De La Soul concert and Camp Low. Camp Low didn't quite recover after leaving Cleveland that day. All of a sudden, all that shit just fell apart. He said, what did you do? But that's another story for another time. That's that Cleveland ride. But That's why they say you don't have culture, because you don't stand in the culture. It's too much fandom. I remember Q was in Cleveland, and he had the West Side Connection, and they were throwing the West Side Connection symbol. And he told the audience, they were mostly whites, but there's some blacks mixed in. They were fans, and they were throwing the West Side Connection. No, you're supposed to be throwing your symbol. Your city's symbol. You're supposed to be throwing your symbol, not throwing mine. Because American blacks are so open and accepting, they appear to become fans. And so you don't necessarily see the culture, but the culture is everything that you see in this country, from the music to the dress, to the way people walk, to how people try to emulate the way that we talk, to how it went across the globe. Martin Luther King influenced Nelson Mandela, not the other way around. You see, so this is what this race equity, just like at the top of the show, we showed you the guy. The guy is in prison still. His Caucasian cohorts are out to storm the Capitol. If they get a slap on the wrist, so should he, because he was just jacking off like they were. That's race equity. Going to court. You have your deeds to your land. They're all legal. They find a loophole to take the land away from you. If a white person comes into court and they have their deed and everything, they keep their land. If the white one is able to keep the land and all their documents are in order, then the black one gets to keep his land because all of his documents are in order. That's race equity. Give me the definition of race equity. They're not going to stop no show. Fuck them.
Basically, let's see. I had a better definition over here. Okay. So equity is defined as the state, quality, or ideal of being just, impartial, and fair. The concept of equity is synonymous with fairness and justice. It is helpful to think of equity as not simply a desired state or of affairs or a lofty value. To be achieved and sustained, equity needs to be thought of as a structural and systemic concept. Structural and systemic. So that means structural, that means at its foundation and how it's built up, and systemic, that means all the things that go on in between, all the intricacies, all the laws, all the intricacies that make up fairness and impartiality. See, and this is something we haven't had. And for you guys that were hitting my wall talking about, he just signed executive orders for equality, there's a difference between equality and equity. Equality is bringing, equity is dealing with, on a situation by situation basis, you're bringing fairness and impartiality. Equity involves trying to understand and give people what they need to enjoy full, healthy lives. Equality, in contrast, aims to ensure that everyone gets the same things in order to enjoy a full, healthy life. Like equity, equality aims to promote fairness and justice, but it can only work if everyone starts from the same place and needs the same things. So he did not sign executive orders having to do with racial equality. It was racial equity, and even that, we have to go into what he signed that's got y'all all, doing cartwheels and stuff that he did it. You didn't Do you even know what the things were he signed?
Now, wow, there's a definition for race equity. If you can find that definition too, that would be good. Race equity. There is a definition for that. A full definition for that word. Those two words put together. Race equity. Do you have that? Yeah, race equity. It's you type it in together, race equity, and there's a definition that comes up for it.
Race equity.
Yeah.
All right.
Then they have a definition for it. Race equity. Do you see it?
It's not giving me the return on that.
That's funny because I pulled it up this morning unless they took it down. Unless they took it down. It's race equity, yeah. It was there earlier, and it did the verse between race equality and race equity, matter of fact. But no matter. Let's see. So, wow. Really? So, as we're going through Tonya in Congress, that's right, on the culture. That's right. Look. That's what this is about, right? So she goes on, and so after it switches over to minority from American blacks, then it somehow leads into xenophobia. And we just talked about what xenophobia is, and I think that Joe Biden is practicing xenophobia by blocking South Africa, Brazil, and the UK, right? But no China, by any chance. And so she goes on to talk about xenophobia and stopping the mistreatment of Asians due to the virus, right? Now, I thought that was addressed under the previous administration. A lot of things that were addressed under the previous administration is being addressed here because they know that y'all didn't pay attention. A lot of us did not pay attention, and so they think that they can pull the wool over the eyes because a lot of us did not pay attention. They just didn't pay attention, and so they think they can pull the wool over the eyes, and so that's what that is, right? They think they can pull the wool.
I've assembled a first-rate team to drive this agenda forward. We'll hold the federal government equity for families across.
Look at that. Look at that.
I have the support of every White House office and.
Wow, that is something else, boy. I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like this. We have never had trouble. But soon as we talked about that we were going to bring race equity, yes, they break it up. So look, this is what the problem is, right? And so we need American blacks to be true, right? We need the people who have made money off American blacks, including the ones who we thought you were American black, but all of a sudden you come out the pocket talking about something else, right? You come out the pocket talking about you're a Jamaican or you're a Haitian or you're this, you're that, but you hung around in the black culture to be able to do the American black culture to do what you do. We need you to be true, or we need you to move to where you think that you are. We need you to move to where and who you think you are. Pack up, lock, stock, barrel, move there, live there, fight the powers that be there, so that we can get to correcting this because there's too many Benedict Arnolds amongst us. Tracy Latrice says, equity versus equality. Equity involves trying to understand and give people what they need to enjoy full, healthy lives. Equality is, in contrast, aims to ensure that someone gets the same things in order to enjoy full, healthy lives. Like equity, equality aims to promote fairness and justice, but it can only work if everyone starts from the same place and needs the same thing. So in other words, because they have stripped over the years, American blacks need more, so they need the equity so that it then can become equal. Equity to equality, and then once everyone gets back up to place where they have the same wealth and health, then it can move forward without people trying to pull the rug from underneath them. But meanwhile, if you're not American black, you need to move where you think your loyalty lies. You need to move where you think your loyalty lies. Where are those people who are moving back to Africa? I need to talk to you. 213-943-3358. Do you think that you should partake in the race equity, being that you're really not American black, though you were born here? You saw any place else. Never saw any place else. Do you think that you deserve to be part of race equity, or should you move to where you think is so much better? That's what we need to know. No one seems to come and want to answer that question, right? No one wants to seem to come and answer that question. 213-943-3358. It's a whole bunch of people, American black people, who, if you've been here 6 generations, you are as far detached from being where your people came from than ever. You need to get on the right, you gotta be on the right rail, you gotta be on the right train, right? When Busta Rhymes said that, I can't even listen to that song anymore where they utilize Michael Jackson, he and Kendrick Lamar. I can't even listen to that song anymore. This is going to cause him to lose listenership. Then there's going to have to be a mea culpa. But we know secretly the way you think. And when you came up there that night in Cleveland to the Cotton Club and Andre and Big Boy backed up against the wall and you said it was your stage and you called out the DJ, you weren't doing it because of hip-hop culture. You were doing it because you thought you were Jamaican and you were using hip-hop culture to be dominant against American blacks. Fuck that. There's about to be a problem spurned by Joe Biden and his obvious pick, who is not even American black on one side or the other. There's going to be a problem. His pick to head race equality, Susan Rice, who comes out and says, I'm Jamaican and also descendants of slaves. There's going to be a problem. There's not going to be a problem. There is a problem. They are a problem. They are race traders. The reason Colin Powell, he's not American black. His people were immigrants here. He was first generation here. He goes off through the ranks. So the first generations here know how to maneuver and wear the black face. There's a problem. American blacks, we don't want to wear the black face because plenty of our generations before did that already, and we don't need to do that because we built this boy. There's a problem, so we know why she's where she's at. Now we know why where she at, where Colin Powell was at, where Condoleezza Rice was at, where all these others are at, because they know how to wear the face. And they do all that smiling and they do that fucking tap dancing. American blacks don't do fucking tap dancing. So there's a problem. There's a whole problem with this whole race equity thing, because when it all boils down to it, when you listen to what she said, it all ends up getting to talking about saving the Chinese, saving the immigrants that are coming in this country, all of the other ethnic groups that are going to be coming into this country. And oh yeah, by the way, yeah, and blacks that are descendants, say, oh yeah, we're gonna help them. That's the ball game. That's the whole situation right there. You cannot stop a show when it's organized. It doesn't matter. We don't need a video. We just kick facts, and then the people will go watch the video afterward and say, damn, that's exactly the way he interpreted that video, is exactly the way it is. If you have children, your children are going to have to battle with these immigrants that are coming in, that this law, this race equity law, is set to protect. It's not to protect American blacks. Biden already showed you what he thought about American blacks when he sat up there in the meeting that was leaked and said by Constitution he wouldn't be able to sign executive orders to help American blacks, but somehow he signed orders to help everybody else. And this one is a slap in the face as usual, because they used us a little bit but then switched it until it shows you that it wants to help every other ethnic group, every other racial group, every other immigrant, every other refugee, except for the people who were actually American citizens in this country. There is a problem. And if people believe this, if you believe this, you are still as dumb, deaf, and blind as you were when you voted on November 4th for Joe and Harris, thinking that you were getting Satan out, but you were electing Lucifer, same demon. You thought you were voting racism out, but you voted in a white supremacist. You're just dumb, deaf, and blind, unknowledgeable about anything. And all the information has been out there since the 1920s. That's 100 years. There's no excuse for you not to know, to be so goddamn ignorant. What you got to say?
You know, and these are the hard conversations. These are the hard discussions, as some of us over the years, we have forged friendships and camaraderies with people that are from these other lands. But you know what we never discuss? Now, I never discussed any with my friends from other lands. We never discussed our the American blacks' plight, because what we had in common was our skin color. But these are conversations that need to be had. You don't fix a problem by sweeping it under the rug. You don't help a drug addict beat drugs by trusting him with your $20 to go to the store. You don't this is not how you fix a problem. You fix a problem by confronting it. And my thing is, if you're my friend, then we should be able to have this discussion. It shouldn't be a thing where we walking on eggshells, because this is what it is. This is what it is, and it is obvious. And like Dee is pointing out, you know, all of these people that were put in government positions or in positions of affluence or influence, or they had the face. Look, you know, I'm fairly light skinned, so you know, they come in looking like the woman that was on that video. and I are about the same complexion. Maybe I'm about a shade darker than her, but I'm a mixed breed. So, but the whole thing is, I'm a mixed breed and considered American black. I'm not considered my my grandfather. We told a story of who our grandfather was, but we identified as black. He had to identify as black too once his family disowned him for marrying in black. So this is who we are. And so we're descendants of slaves. But if you can't come in this country, if you can't, my question is, I've never asked anybody from Jamaica or anywhere else, in your social studies, do you speak of or do you study American Black history in your social studies programs? And when you come here, you understand who you're merging with, because it's a slap in the face. I mean, come on, man. This is getting really bad. It's like if I'm sitting here and somebody is slapping me in the face with rags, they peeing on me, and I say things graphically so that you get the severity of the picture. They're peeing on me, they're excrement on me, they're give us your ideas. Come on in, give us your ideas. We need your ideas. And then you steal our patents, steal our copyrights. You get us involved in industries, and you pay us a fraction of what you're getting. If NFL players, basketball players, and all those people are getting millions, what do you think the franchise is getting? What do you think the franchise is getting? But they cool, with their millions. If we get involved in the music industry, you get us trapped in bad deals. And then you degrade us, and some of us are willing to be degraded for the dollar of bending over and grabbing our ankles, men. Laying on our backs, women, or on our knees, women and men. We're getting taken for a ride, going and coming by laws, by everything. And we don't want to talk about it. We want to keep sticking our head in the sand like an ostrich, hoping, we shall overcome someday. Well, how you going to overcome? See, overcoming is not just by endurance. Sometimes endurance requires battle. Endurance in battle, not enduring the raping and all of that, not enduring that and being inactive. It's enduring being in battle. Battle fatigue. Your knuckles getting busted. Enduring that. Enduring the fight back. Enduring that. Not enduring just sitting there and getting hit upside your head all kinds of ways and not doing anything. And so we have to talk about it. My Jamaican, my friends from Barbados, Aruba, St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, all my friends, this is a conversation. And I'm opening it up because I love y'all. Those of y'all who have been my friend for some years, I love y'all, but we ain't never talked about this. We need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. We need to talk about what would your fight be if you thought that you were going to lose coming over here. If you got any, if you stood to lose some of that, would you stand with me? Could you stand with me? Could you stand with me? Do you have the back to stand with me? If that were the case, because if you can't talk about it, you ain't gonna be able to stand. If it's so uncomfortable that you don't want to talk about it, then ain't no standing there already. So, I mean, what do we have in common? What do we have in common? Nothing. Because this is a fight. Listen, until I take my last breath, whatever I can do to advance the advancements of American Black people, and this is not, let's get this clear, because I'm sick of some of these mentalities. They get on my last good nerve. Having, being positive about my people is not being negative about yours. Now, we are behind the 8 ball. We're in a deficit. And I'm not being overly rude about saying that, we know things were stolen from us. And we know what people did that. My thing is, we need y'all to stand and admit that too. If you're not scared to lose, I want to see what kind of backbone everybody got. I want to see it. Because with or without you, we're going for ours. But then once you have identified yourself as a non-essential, like if you can't stand with me, you can't talk with me, you can't share in my battle with that, then you are now a non-essential. Now, I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings. I'm sorry your feelings are hurt, but I'm not sorry for what I'm saying. And I'm not going to backpedal off of it either. It's like, if you can't stand with me, we're going in for ours, but you have repositioned yourself in the lives of people you may have forged friendships with because you're political. You're more political than you are practical and realistic towards a people that you can look and see. Historically, you can see. You can look in the laws and see there's a disparaging gap between what's supposed to be and what is. And if you don't want to stand with us on it, non-essential.
Non-essentials. Now, these same people like Busta Rhymes, he would say that American blacks don't have culture. Black people in America don't have culture. Well, why don't you go back over there and see what your culture is like when you see the new Chinese Jamaican citizens with their locked dreads, their hair locked in dread. Talking about what's up, Rastaman. The hell out of here. Look, you're coming from places where you ran from those places. You ran from the places. The Africans that's here, they ran from Africa because they couldn't fight Africa. They couldn't fight the battles in Africa, so they came here. They came here talking about they're going to do that. Their money goes away. American blacks are spending this a certain amount of money that needs to go back into the American black neighborhoods that you are extracting with those little trinkets that you're bringing, and that little cloth that you're bringing is actually being made by China now. Y'all can go research this. Those the kente cloth, not exactly. Kente cloth is two-sided. You can see both sides. That is something prefabricated. It's only one-sided. It's like the 1,000-count sheets you get, and only one side is silky smooth. The other side is kind of rough. It's only one-sided. You know what's funny? Tonya was just talking about the sports teams, right? And do you realize that this is a problem amongst American blacks, but I think it's being spread by, now I'm figuring this out, looking back at certain things and hearing what Busta Rhymes had to say about American blacks not having a culture. I think that some of the division between American blacks is amongst each other is there because other groups came in and assumed a certain position as if they were like us, and they were not, and they brought that hate from where they come from. Because at a certain point, American blacks were cool with each other, wanted each other to advance, but then other groups came in and brought their hate. We're talking about black people from other countries. So much to the point that now they can stand up and be so bold to say that they have more culture than American blacks, but everything you got from here, you didn't get from there because your place is being taken over or has been taken over, and a group of people who fought to make a society that they wanted to make a neo-white state, make it a multicultural state, that is the culture. Everything that you see is our culture. You don't see Jamaican culture. Like, some people may listen to the Jamaican records, but Jamaican culture ain't running shit. Haiti ain't running shit here. It's American black culture. You can find it. If it's not in the hip hop, it's in the gang culture. Who made the gang culture? American blacks. When the other ones come in and say, that seems kind of strange, brother. But look, my point on this about other people coming in. American blacks today will look at each other and say, oh, what's he got? I want to have what he's got. I don't want to work under him. But when it comes to the white owners on teams, they're automatically ready to go under those teams and get their millions, while the teams are making trillions, and they never question it. The day that American blacks began to question, and they're trying to make sure that doesn't happen, because they're bringing, even in the NBA, they brought the Greek freak, right? He's light. I wrote him on his Twitter, so this is nothing I haven't said before. I told him he was light in the ass. He may look like American black, but he light in the ass, and that's why he's not going to win. And so far, that was 3 years ago. So far, you look like us, but it's something about those chains. It's something about that bullwhip. It's something about that draw and quartering. It's something about that amputation. It's something about those patty rollers. It's something about the castration. It's something about the tar and feathering. It's something about knocking out teeth and forcing you to eat when you didn't want to eat. It's something about the culture of slavery that makes the American black man in particular, the American black woman in particular, tough. But yet we're all open arms to all of our people because we know the struggle. But our people get here from other places and turn on us. The owners know that sooner or later American blacks will start saying, well, if you're making trillions and we're making millions, shouldn't we be making billions while you're making trillions? So they're bringing in the immigrant who will not balk at it because they're weak. They're weak and they will take anything, and they're running from where they are. There's no pride in running from where you are. Sorry, you can say anything you want, but if you came from a war, if you came from Rwanda and you were the stowaway boys or whatever that shit was, it was in Cleveland, the stowaway boys, and you ran from where you were, you weren't able to fight it out and get control and take control away from the colonizers, you're not strong. You are weak, and you can be as angry and mad at American blacks for saying that to you as you want. You can balk up, but it's one thing we know, that you can't balk up against those Chinese, those Indians, and those Caucasians that's got control of Africa. Those Chinese that's got control of Jamaica right now. So the day that American blacks start to look at white concern and say, they're making a lot of money, I think I should be making closer to where they're making than what I'm making, which is actually pennies to their trillions. My millions is pennies to their trillions. They're gazillions. If they get to gazillions and they give me a billion, I need to be at trillions while they're at gazillions. And then if it's equity, I should be making gazillions when they're making gazillions. That's equity. And so until we solve this problem, but we need to separate from the people who are a problem, who would take their money and take it overseas and or over the border and strip the money away from America, our heads don't screw on and off. Our heads don't screw on and off. So look, y'all tried to clip us today. Guess what? That shit didn't work. It's too organized. Good morning to Stu. I see that you're watching. I see that Kayla is watching. David Chisholm is watching. What's going on with you? Listen. So this is what's really going on with this. When you go back and you listen to the Susan Rice, it's about 9 minutes, 10 minutes in total. When you go back, you'll see it starts out saying, she opens up and says that she's Jamaican and also descendants of slave. Well, you're talking about the immigrant is first. The immigrant is first. Then it says, oh yes, we're going to do something for American blacks and minorities and people of color. When they drop in the word people of color, it's getting ready to switch over. And then it starts slowly snowball effect, and next thing you know, they're down to xenophobia, talking about Asians, and they're talking about every other group. Oh yeah, by the way, we're going to do something for blacks, which is exactly, absolutely nothing, but they use us as the figurehead face. Like Kevin Mackey said in Outside the Wire, why do they use my face? Because my face is non-threatening. They use my face because I'm all welcoming, and then they can do what they want to do. But we as American blacks have to stop that. We are the most important and the most valuable here. The other people ran from their countries. That's weak. That's weak. They can be as tough as they want to us, but guess what? You can't be tough to the people that matter. And we've been tough to the people that matter, taking hoses, taking dogs, fighting for it, getting the laws. Just when we got the brass ring in 65, they do the Immigration Act of 65, and everything, it's forked tongue. We're going to give you this, but then we're going to do something to begin to take it away, and that's the way it has been. So equity for American blacks first. Everybody else got to get in line. And anyone who doesn't know that, your kids have to pay for it, for your ignorance. So what you got to say before we close out?
Once again, having the equity and for you guys that are immigrants from other places that ran from your country and stuff, I mean, how would you want us to perceive you? Because if you came into a place where people who look like you had been so shortchanged and so you should question yourself when you say, why would they want to give me these things? Why would they want to provide these things for me and not take care of those like me who are already here? You should ask yourself that question instead of being, I understand most people are self-centered and self-focused, but eventually it was going to come to there being an issue. We don't need sympathy. We don't need, you can have some empathy so you can understand why we have to show our behinds in these up and coming days. You can have some empathy so it could help you be able to stomach the measures that we're going to have to go to see to it that we get what we're supposed to get. How long did anybody think this was going to go on? How long? So now 57 years since King, and we thought when Barack Obama became president, that was a dream being realized. When that sounded like to me, that looked like to me that was something that was on a timetable to make it look like that, to pacify us. You have to have your eyes open to know when you're being manipulated and pacified just to keep your mouth shut. And then to go one step further, when you have social networking such as this one, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all of those that we're on, and then these discussions open up, and you start seeing how people are really feeling about different things. And I'm realizing people don't know their head from their behind. They don't. They arguing about something and vehemently arguing and don't know nothing, not a clue as to how this manipulation is going. So I don't, I'm at a point where I've learned to just speak to who can hear. And so that's what we do when we come on every day. We're speaking to those of you who are able to hear. You notice we don't, some of the antagonizers, they stop calling because you're not going to come on this show and run how it goes. You got two of the wrong folk for that, for real. You'll find yourself chasing your own tail coming up in here doing that. But, you notice we don't, on our pages, our walls, our timelines, we don't argue back and forth with people for what? I'm not going to argue back and forth. Now, I might answer a few questions or have a little bit of dialogue, but as far as going back and forth and heated debates with people, I don't need to do that. If you on my wall, you there to learn something. Now, you can say that sound arrogant, but take it how you want it. You come to my timeline, you're there to learn. Remember that. You there to learn. I'm not asking you for nothing else, because I go out and do my own research. So I'm not trying to necessarily learn from you. I respect your opinion. We're equals of opinion, but I'm not looking for your opinion on my wall. So if you come into debate, that's an exercise in futility. That's not going to work. So you notice we don't do that. We don't do that back and forth, especially when the ones they try to draw you out by using words like ignorant and all that. And I'm looking at them. I'm like, you the most ignorant folk I ever seen. I'm not going to address ignorance with ignorance. The Bible tells me to answer not a fool according to their folly, lest you be likened unto them, but to answer a fool according to their folly, that they may learn thereby. And so that's how I live. I don't answer foolishness. When I do answer you, it's so you learn something. And that's the extent of it.
Oh, wow. That's the extent of it. All right, people, as we close, get your QR scanner on your smartphone. Put it up to this QR code. And scan this QR code. Steadfasting, right? Steadfasting, right? Scan the code, takes you to our new fundraiser. You'll be able to read what the t-shirt exactly says. Steadfasting. Make sure that you get and purchase a t-shirt. We appreciate you. It goes towards us expanding more quality programming like what we have on right now. Just like this Sunday, it's hashtag TFR Podcast Live, where we have a jam-packed show. It is the happening of all happenings, the event of all events. It's the review of the Wendy Williams movie, Doc, and Denzel, Leto, Remy Malek are in a film together called The Little Things, and we're going to be reviewing that. Oh, it's going to town. So you need to tune in for that, right? Take your QR code, scan it. If it's not enough time to get to the QR code scanner, just rewind back on the replay and scan it, or you can go to You Found the Spot on FB and download it. We're going to figure this out because they found a way to clip in. You know what I noticed, Tonya? When I had checked this program down, the camera was still on this morning, right?
What?
So I don't know if they found a way to creep in, but we're going to find that out. I'm going to pull the camera, dust it out, blow it out, reprogram again, and see if that's part of the problem here today. found some way to put a bug in. But we're going to figure that out because we're pretty tech savvy around here. So, people, as we close out on a robust episode, remember, we don't need video because we are the ones that make it happen. So we don't really need the video. That's just the icing on the cake to tell the story. In the end, this race equity is one big farce for American blacks. It's one big farce for American blacks. If you champion it, you champion it at your own risk, and in the end, you'll be sitting up there after the first 4 years talking about, man, I thought they were going to be doing something for us. But you know, that race equity thing really much has to do with the ability to comprehend. Comprehension is very important. You need to be able to catch the concepts early, right? So look, people, this has been another robust episode of #ObservationsTFR. We come on Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, on the various platforms that you see us on. Tomorrow is freaking Friday, where we look at events that happened during the week, some news and situations that you probably did not see. So you definitely want to tune in tomorrow for that. We are proud to bring you this programming. We are proud that you are on watching with us. We'd like to thank all of you who came on and rolled the whole way with us for the whole almost 2 hours, and we appreciate you. We will see you again tomorrow. I'm Crazy D, and in the box right here, in the rectangle, is my special guest, my sister Tonya M. Congress, and we will see you tomorrow on another great episode of #Observations TFR. No clipping, because they know we're at the end.
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made the curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe community, heart,
Observations TFR, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.